There, Derek Rydall here, founder of the Law of Emergence and author of the best-selling books Emergence and the Abundance Project. And I just wanted to talk a bit today about how the only thing that's ever holding us back is ourselves. That life never holds anything back from us. We hold ourselves back from life. And if you've heard anything I've been talking about or teaching over the years, this is a familiar concept to you. But fundamentally speaking, when I teach about the emergence principle, I'm talking about the fact that life is emergent. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens through you and as you. Life comes from you. Just as there's a seed and the life comes through the seed, it creates the conditions in the soil that are congruent with the seed pattern, and then it emerges through the seed according to its pattern and becomes the tree, the bush, the flowers, etc. And that same principle of emergence, the law of emergence, is operative in you. That life is not happening to you. It's happening for you, and it's happening through you, and it's happening as you. So whatever's missing is ultimately what you're not giving, what you're not allowing, what you're not saying yes to within you. It is that emerging impulse, that evolutionary impulse, that inner yes, that inner desire, which comes from a root that means of the sire, of the father, or of the creative impulse. So it's trying to come through you, and it shows up as desire, as something that attracts you, something that feels interesting. There's curiosity, there's excitement, there's juiciness to it. There's just something that is trying to move through you, and you stop it. You hold that flow back for a variety of reasons. You say it's not time, it's too soon, it's too late, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too black, I'm too white, I'm too female, I'm too male, I'm too gay, I'm too straight, right? You have a story, and that story contains a lot of ifs, ands, and buts. It contains a lot of considerations, a lot of contingencies that basically determine whether you believe you can say yes to life in the way that it wants to move through you. But it's important to know that life itself is not stopping you. And ultimately, nobody and no thing outside of you has the power to stop life when you say yes to life within you. So I really want to invite you today just to look at what is the life you've been wanting to create. What is the thing you've been wanting to create? What is the relationship you've been wanting to create, whether you're in one or not? What is the conversation or conversations you've been wanting to have? What is the actions you've been wanting to take? What are the things you've been wanting to do with your body, with your money, with your heart, with your art? But that you haven't done it because you've been saying, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the money, I don't have the support. The world's not ready for me. It's too late, it's too soon. My parents won't like it, my partner won't like it, my kids won't like it. I'll be judged. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? I want you to take a moment, or take more than a moment ideally, to begin to ask really into those desires and look at, what is the story I'm creating that's stopping me? Now, it's beyond the scope of this conversation today to go into all the reasons we stop ourselves and what's underneath it, but I'll just share a couple briefly. One of the reasons is what's called a shadow. So we want to do something, but we are feeling to ourselves, I'm afraid that something bad will happen. I'll fail, I'll be judged, I'll be rejected. And if you feel that, you want to ask, what would I make it mean about me? Or what am I afraid others would think about me if that result or condition occurred? So they might say, you're stupid, or I might think, I'm a loser, I'm inadequate, I'm slow, I'm dumb. Well, it's important to know that those are shadows. Stupid, slow, dumb, inadequate, loser, those are parts of yourself that you have judged, rejected, repressed, and you are working really, really hard to not be them. But when you learn to embrace that part of you, when you begin to have a conversation with that part of you, when you begin to ask that part of you, what is it what does it really need from me so that it can take its rightful and constructive place in my life? Then what you discover is new skills, new power, new potential, new insights that loser or that stupid part of you, you discover actually is a student part of you. It is the part of you that is always supposed to not know, so that you remain open at the top, so you remain a student. And when you embrace it and you no longer fight or fear it, and you let it take its rightful place, you don't become stupid. You become a student again. You're willing to ask questions. You're willing to make mistakes. You're willing to be wrong. And the result is not that you become more stupid. The result is that you become more of a channel. More wisdom, more insight, more guidance, more inspiration, and often knowledge that you haven't even personally learned begins to flow through you. So that's just one example. Another reason that we hold back from life, that we hold ourselves back from life, that we say no to our inner yes and our deepest desires is something that's called values conflicts. And that's where we value two things, but in our mind, they've been woven together as enemies instead of allies. Growing up, for example, I valued family and art and connection, and because that seemed to be lacking. And I didn't seem to be supported in my full artistic expression. And the family dynamic was dysfunctional. So I really valued that. And I kind of vowed to build a life based on that. As I got older, and I did it actually in rejection to the values of my father. The more successful he got, the more our family seemed to break apart. And he used to say things like, artists live below the poverty level. So I made business and success and money a negative value, or in opposition to the values that I thought I truly valued, such as art and connection and family. But as I grew up, what happened was we lost our house, we were broke, and I began to value having money. I began to value success, and I began to pursue it. But lo and behold, I found myself holding back, sabotaging myself, blocking myself. And what I began to ultimately discover was that I had a values conflict. That in my mind, if I go for wealth and success, I'm going to have to sacrifice love, connection, my art, my spirit. But if I go for just my art and my spirit, I'm going to have to sacrifice wealth and success and basically be broke. And I was in conflict. It was like driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. When I realized that, I began to create what's called a values affirmation, where I wove those two values back together again. Because they're not actually intrinsically mutually exclusive. I began to say things like, the more successful and abundant I am, the more connected to my heart and to my art and to my loved ones I become. And the more I honor and value my connection to my heart and to my art and to my loved ones, the more wealthy and successful I become. And like two wires that have been separated suddenly touching and sparking, my whole life changed. And so I invite you today to take a look at the things you really want, the ways you want to start living and giving and serving and expressing and communicating, and begin to journal about what is the story I'm telling myself about why I'm holding myself back, what I'm waiting for. And then take the Great Weight Loss Challenge, WAIT. Start to lose all that weight, because whatever you're waiting for, you're weighing down and you're holding back. So let's start today. End the weight. Lose the weight. I hope this has supported you. And until next time, remember to live authentically, love unconditionally, and follow your destiny.